Hello and welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. The week has been already off to an incredible start, crazy stuff going on, but I want to talk in this video about the downstream consequences of the decisions made by the lunatics across the fruited plain. It truly is shaping up as bad as I ever imagined it would or could, but also it is taking kind of an alternative route to get there. I figured, and this is why prepping and understanding it's not an event getting there, it's a process. But it's fluid, it changes, it's dynamic, it's not static, and that's why I think we need to keep up on current events to understand the consequences, the timing, the severity. I really figured Antifa would be a much bigger problem than they are. And interestingly, I think it's the Southern Poverty Law Center has stated that anti-Antifa messages and anti-Antifa memes and other communication is a form of white supremacy. Can you believe that? Having an opinion different than the most radical leftists makes you a white supremacist. Now, my question has been all along, well, what about blacks, Latins, Asians, and others who aren't white, who have a conservative bent? I guess they're white supremacists also. And I guess that's just the way it's going to be. Anyways, I figured Antifa would be the social chaos driving force that's going to prompt that part of shit hits the fan. But things developed differently. Once again, but so how are we getting there? What am I so confident that I'm aware of and that I see happening? What I see happening is a drive that's going to cause social chaos, social disruption, the rioting, looting, shit hits the fan, light type activity as we get closer to the election. And that is this call for impeachment. It is fascinating to me, not that I am right and you're right and everyone on the right is right. It's just how we have such widely held opinions. This is from a strictly psychological perspective. It doesn't have to do with being correct or incorrect, but rather we are certain from our perspective that President Trump talking to another political leader isn't treasonous. We are certain that uranium won, that Hunter Biden taking billions of dollars here and millions of dollars there with his dad is wrong. We are certain that violating the Constitution by passing laws that are unconstitutional in itself is an act of treason, because they should be able to read the English language, know a little history, and understand the purpose, and then stand up and live by their oath. We are certain of that over here. What is fascinating from a purely psychological perspective, is that on the left, they are just as certain and strong in their beliefs that the Constitution is just a piece of paper, that they can change with some democratic votes. Right, it's democracy, or rather, rule by majority. They are certain that that's okay, and it has nothing to do with a constitutional republic that we've evolved, right, that court cases support their thinking, right, they believe that court cases make their thinking right. They believe so strongly over here, just like we do over here on the right, they believe so strongly, way out in left field, that social injustice, that income inequality, that ecological issues are caused strictly by humans, and that taxation of anybody that has more than the majority is good. They feel so strongly about that, just as we feel strongly in our beliefs. Psychologically, it's fascinating to understand these two sides that used to be this close. Let me put the right here, because I don't believe I've moved a bit. And in fact, I've heard Democrats say this now, that they have never moved in their Democrat position, but now they are so extreme that they are considered lunatic right-wing conservatives, but they've never moved. They've always been the same Democrat and believe what they believe. But the rest of the left has moved so far away that there's no way for the two political opposing parties, there's no way for reconciliation and cooperation to occur. And right, this has been getting worse and worse over the years, and it really was set off by Bill Clinton's presidency and Hillary Clinton's vice presidency. That was a little joke. She was the co-president. Elect one, you get two. Right, just what we need. Anyways, they believe that their stuff so strongly that they are like us. And I am seeing more of this discussion online now. Not in forums, because I don't go to forums. Not in mainstream news articles, but in reading the comments of others. People on the right are now more willing to start fighting it out physically. They aren't doing it, but they're now thinking it and even writing it down. And I think, of course, there's a risk to that, and that's why I don't participate in such conversations, either in support of or arguing against, because of the consequences of that. But there are more people now saying, bring it on, it's time to fight. That's coming from the right. Now, they're not saying, I'm going to go out and kill people. They're not saying they're going to do anything. They're just saying, it is time. It is time. Now, over on the left, they are the ones who are saying, let's go out and do protests and beat people and bring baseball bats and acid and chains and whatever weapons you can carry. Be sure to wear a black mask to hide your identity because you're going to go and commit crimes and you don't want to be caught for it. The crazy left, even though in many jurisdictions the police departments allow them to break the rules, they believe that the police are fascist tools. And so they hate the police as much as they hate people on the right. Just that Antifa and regular social stuff, I thought it would blow up faster, but it hasn't. But what is going to take us there is not a grassroots up swelling of SHTF confrontation, but it's going to be caused by this impeachment that's coming. Once again, you have the left and the right, and they cannot reconcile. And there is a complete belief system on the left that it doesn't matter what Joe Biden did. It doesn't matter what Hillary did. It doesn't matter what any Democrat did. This is all about Trump and only about Trump over here on the nationalist side of the political spectrum. Once again, it's not a political spectrum like this. It's the far left and Trump. Now the deal is this isn't an impeachment of Trump. Well, it is, but it's an impeachment of you. It's an impeachment of me. They want to impeach our mentality. They want to impeach nationalism. They want to impeach America first thinking. They want to impeach the Constitution. They want to impeach Make America Great Again. They want to impeach white people. They want to impeach conservatives. They want to impeach Christians. And rather than doing that at the grassroots level in 1 year, they would like to, trust me, those on the left would love to impeach all of us over here. Our lifestyle, our mentality, our thoughts, our patriarchy, our privilege, our whatever their little triggering catchphrases are. They want to impeach us all, but they can't do it. They're using colleges, they're using mainstream media, they're using workplace social programs to control. But they're not getting it accomplished as fast as they want. By impeaching, from the left, impeaching President Trump, President Donald J. Trump, they are going to foment. They're going to make this line between left and right. Now instead of being this, over here. They're not just going this far left. They're going to go all the way over here. And people, most people, not you and me, don't understand the severity, the expense, the cost, and what is being prescribed with this new Green Deal, which is part of the impeachment. You see, if they can convince the country that Trump is bad, that Trump is wrong, that Trump is guilty, that Trump should be impeached, then the new Green Deal is a mandate because of the impeachment. Everything they want over here is a mandate based on the impeachment of Trump. Now this video is not all bad news. This video has great news in it. Don't lose heart. There's a positive message to this, along with being prepared. They want to impeach Trump, and as a consequence of that, they impeach all of us. Whether it is snowing. I looked out and giant snowflakes are falling on my vegetable garden. Wow. Okay. They want to impeach us whether you're a black conservative or a minority moderate. I mean, you can't. They want all of us impeached. You are one of them or you're nothing. The way to get there is going to take years using social media pressure and everything else. What they don't have on the left is they don't have years anymore. They have 1 year until basically the serious debates, and then the election coming in early November of 2020. They have 1 year to get everything done, to get all of their political ideas in place, to have them supported by a majority of the country, or close to a majority. They want all of this in place by then. If they can defeat Trump in the 2020 election, it's the fan time. If they beat Trump, but they may not have to beat Trump. They believe that they can impeach Trump. Now, I have to stop here, digress just a little bit, and talk about impeachment, because I've had close friends, distant friends, non-friends who just have a question. John, how much of a threat is this impeachment to Donald J. Trump, President, United States of America? And it's, I want to cover the impeachment process very quickly. It takes both houses of Congress, both the House of Representatives and the Senate. The Congress impeaches, and they need a majority vote to do so. What they do is it's kind of like a prosecutor in a grand jury coming up with charges. And they're the prosecutorial, right, or rather grand jury of the process of removing a president. The House of Representatives has to have a majority vote on this. And there is a process that is carried out. And right now the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, have already drawn up all the rules and the papers for this particular impeachment, how they're going to go about it. So when the House is back in session, they're going to start. Now, I believe, well, no, I'm just going to talk about process. They pass that vote, and then it's referred over to the Senate, which is the trial. Impeachment is actually nothing. It is a political statement, extreme, but just a political statement without the conviction in the Senate. And in the Senate, you need a 2/3 vote to convict. Now, sadly, this process was in place, but it can be abused politically. As a kid, there had only been one president that was impeached till that time, and that was Andrew Johnson, successor to Abraham Lincoln, who died in an assassination. Funny, bullet shot to the head. Sound familiar? Died in an assassination. I'm no friend of Lincoln, by the way. An assassin, because he was not a good president. Has nothing to do with slavery, everything to do with everything else he did wrong. Anyways, I digressed in my digression. You need to have 2/3 majority vote to convict, to affirm the impeachment. So impeachment is nothing. Andrew Johnson, impeached, was not removed in the Senate. It was largely political. Bill Clinton, one could make the argument, was impeached by Congress, but was not convicted in the Senate because they felt it was just too political. This is definitely a political impeachment that's being proposed against Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. But they do not have the votes to convict. They don't. And Trump has shown time and time again that he is the backbone in the Republican Party, even though he is only a moderate conservative. He is just a nationalist Republican, and that is great. At least it's something, right? Anyways, they can impeach Trump 10 times and it doesn't matter. They need a conviction to remove him, and then they'll get Mike Pence, right? And I have no idea what type of control, extortion, bribery paperwork they have on him, but they've got nothing on Trump. So the fears about Donald Trump being impeached before the 2020 election is 95%. There's no way they're going to both impeach and convict him. If they had more information that would help support and let everyone know what's going to happen, they would have already released it. They don't have the brains any longer or the ability to do a gotcha moment. They've been trying it for years now with the Mueller investigation. There are no more major surprises. This Ukraine thing just popped up and they immediately jumped on it as their opportunity. It's all they have. In other words, every time they get some ammunition, they fire it full guns, hoping to change the mind of the American people. But the impeachment, they're going to impeach Donald Trump, even though Nancy Pelosi knows she can't convict. She knows there won't be a conviction in the Senate because they don't have enough votes. But she's going to impeach with the purpose of rallying and winding up the political left over here. That's what she wants to do. She wants to get them riled up, right? They're already riled up. Antifa's riled up, but she wants them to the point of shit it's the fan, chaos ensuing. She wants so much hatred of Trump, and she believes, right, she and the Democrat Party believe that they can get this energy, this anti-Trump energy up because they need to win the 2020 election. They need this riling up of the left. They have to have it because they know their political candidates suck. This is all political, by the way. This has nothing to do with anything the president has done, in my opinion over here, that is impeachment and conviction worthy. There's really, I mean, it's silly, especially when you compare it to the crimes of Hillary, Billary, the Bidens, the Obamas, etc. Still, right, they need this energy over here. They want so much hatred on the far left, who are prone to violence, that they start causing chaos in the streets. That is the shit it's the fan worry, is that they will cause so much chaos and hatred. And if they can manage, right, to get these people on the left to attack us on the right, the armed response from constitutional, freedom-loving, I have rights, don't violate them side, right, if they can get them to attack us, we would have a response, a self-defense response that would further add to the conflagration. That is my worry, is that they will rile the left up, which will become so violent that they'll come after us. Political purge style, just like these films that left-wing production companies have created, glorifying the murder and death of conservatives by the leftists who call us fascists while they're communists. And their ideas, right, they did not learn from history because they believe it's different this time, that socialism can win, and that anyone who has anything over here, it was unfairly gained because of gender or race or some sort of patriarchal theft by average people. Never mind the elites at the top, who have used every dirty trick to enrich themselves. They want to blame us little people over here and then punish us, go after us. Like I said in the beginning, I thought Antifa would be doing a lot more violent, but they're not. They're threatening it, but they're not doing it. But if they get riled up, if they feel justified, and once again, most people, even educated people, don't understand the impeachment process, and that it's really nothing. It takes the conviction in the Senate. and then the president's removed, and we go not into constitutional crisis, but leapfrogging, the vice president to president, speaker of the House to vice president, and never mind, I won't get that far into the future. But that's the leapfrog process they want to see happen. But if President Trump is impeached, not removed, just impeached, the left will think he should be packing his bags. These lunatic leftist Antifa types will believe he should pack his bags, that he should be out. And when he doesn't leave the White House, they're not going to understand. They're not going to get it. As a result, they're going to become more violent, more reactionary. The left are going to become more radicalized as this impeachment process progresses. Now, I'm sure the Democrats would love to stretch it out all through winter and hold hearing after hearing after hearing after hearing after hearing after hearing and drag it on into the spring, and then have the Senate try it in the spring and finish it up before the fall, which is the main election season. So that when he's impeached, the left goes crazy. When Trump is tried in the Senate and it doesn't go the left's way, they get even more radically pissed off. Oh my God, this is the Senate stonewalling. Obviously he should be removed. And they're going to go absolutely fucking bonkers on the left. We're going to see the violence I've been saying the left wants to do. They will have the justification for it through the impeachment process with Donald J. Trump, President, United States. Now, I did say at the beginning of the video, hey, I've got good news in all of this. There's good news. This isn't a doom and gloom only. There's good news here. And I'll share that now. The president can only be impeached if they have the temerity and the balls to do it, which they probably do. He will not be convicted by the Senate. The net result of this is while the left will become fanatically violent, the right will say, we're going to defend ourselves, but they'll become more involved. Already, Trump has raised, the impeachment hasn't even started. The Democrat three-ring bullshit circus in the House of Representatives hasn't even started. And there are already millions and millions and millions of dollars pouring into Trump's re-election campaign. Why is that important? As preppers, it's important to see that America is waking up to the stupidity. And while we are polarizing, that is more distance between the two sides, while we're becoming more polarized, the people on the right are waking up, realizing the threat, the risk. They're willing to support Trump's defense financially, which means they're willing to support it in other ways. Meaning, if the left gets violent, the right is going to say, enough of that. Yes, more conflict. Yes, risk of shit hitting the fan on the social level, on the street chaos level. Right? They'll barricade the fuck out of the White House and downtown Washington, D.C., and every state house and every city hall. But on the street, in our neighborhoods, it's going to be a higher risk zone. Not a high risk zone, but a higher than those protected places. Now, these radical leftists may want to try and stage a coup at some level in some places, who knows? But if they can't do that, they may attack individuals, as they have done in Portland. Just driving down the street, brick through the window. You park your car, you come out in the morning, and it's beat to death with a bat. Don't you dare put a Trump sticker on your car. And if you put one on your four-wheel drive pickup and it gets beaten, you can expect retaliatory action by those rednecks, hicks, hardliners. You are not going to be able to get away with it with the, I don't want to call them radical right, but the I know my rights right, who would tend to have more of a vigilante mentality compared to, right, middle class, upper middle class thinking Americans who say, let law and justice go that way and the cops will take care of it. My insurance company will pay. You fuck with a hillbilly's truck and he's going to come after you. The left is the one, right? The hillbilly will not go after them. But if they come over and mess with them, that's the conflict I see developing. Now again, the good news on the right is there is more support growing for Trump, more belief that they need to be involved in the political system. That is causing more grassroots groundswell on the right, and they're speaking out at work. They're speaking out on the street. They're speaking out in social circles. The right is becoming more vocal. They're using their First Amendment, and it's nice to see this happening. Nice to hear it, rather. It's nice to hear it. But there are some other things that are going on. The left is so radical that a lot of their members are coming over to the right because they see the hypocrisy. The smarter amongst the left see the hypocrisy. The condemnation of free speech by millennials if that speech doesn't agree with them. You see, over on the left, they no longer say free speech is critical. They say only their speech is allowed. And it's so blatantly obvious and anti what we were taught in school, that these radicalized, institutionalized demagoguery, that they're taught how to go around and put people down. They deny the First Amendment now. They deny the Second Amendment except for them. The First Amendment except for them. Only they are allowed to speak and act. And we're having a lot of defection because of that. Which means there's going to be more voters over here that will outgrow the left. The left isn't expanding their base, in other words. They're vocalizing, they're irritating, they're causing them to want to take violent action. But they're not seeing a growth in numbers. They're seeing a retreat because they're now calling for flat out fucking communism with the new Green Deal. It is communist. And people are going, you know what? I kind of like a social health care. I kind of like a safety net financially, but we don't like communism, and those people are coming to the right. More and more minorities are seeing that the left, what it has always offered, is a plantation lifestyle. We'll give you a little bit of money, help you get by and live, but you're never going to succeed on your own merits. Because the moment you try getting a job, they take your money away, so people run back to the plantation for handouts. But as they go more communist, more people are saying, you know what? I would like to keep what I earn. I would like to keep my free speech and keep my Second Amendment. I would like to keep freedom of thought. And so they're leaving the left. So the left is not increasing their voter base, except for the illegals that make it over the border. But the right is gaining little bits here and there. That is the good news. People on the right are waking up, and we're gaining more momentum and support from the people for President Trump. The more they talk about impeaching him, the better his numbers look. His approval numbers are literally going up because of the impeachment. Now, believe me, Nancy Pelosi sees and understands this. She does. As crazy and radical as she is, she's not retarded. Not in a sense of understanding politics. Remember, the left will use facts when it supports their case. And when it doesn't, they'll ignore the facts that support their case. They are all about progressing forward. Yeah, they're progressives, but progressing towards communism. Nancy is going all in with the Democrats. They either want to impeach and convict, or impeach and hope that that gives them enough impetus to win the election, where they can impeach again, take over and go socialist, or if Trump wins again and they win the Senate, then they do the impeachment in the House, conviction in the Senate, and then remove Trump. By then, we will have a completely violent, left-wing, lunatic world. And we may get there before the election, depending on how virulent, how hate-filled the left-wing media becomes, the radical leftists on the street become. They are radicalizing everybody on the left so much that the right has to respond and say, we will defend ourselves. The left is becoming that violent and radical. And that's what this impeachment is about, is the left, Nancy Pelosi, the Democrat Party. They have to become this radical because they can't win without it. So this is a Hail Mary pass on their part. They're just throwing it out there and hoping it works because that's all they have. If Trump wins the election and they can't impeach and convict him, then they know they are going to lose this battle when we go into a recession and there's no money for left-wing giveaways. When America is thrown into a recession and depression, we are going to see American austerity, which means higher taxes and lower entitlements, less entitlements, or no entitlements. It's not going to be a socialist haven in a depression. It's going to be a realization that we couldn't afford all of the shit we've been doing all of this time. And the banks, if they stay in power, whether it's the crooked banks or a new instituted bank, they're going to say, we don't have the money to give away anymore. That America is done. Paradigm shift on an economic scale, on a fiscal scale, on an investment and retirement scale, those things are gone. Things of the past. That's the reality that we're facing. What we actually get is going to depend on what way the currents swing. Can Nancy Pelosi excite the left wing so much that they get the momentum on their side and they win the election? Can they scare voters away? Can they stuff ballot boxes? Can they hack into election systems? Can they do all of the things they've done in the past on such a grand scale that they'll win 2020 election? Or will it go the way I'm proposing it's going to go, which is more and more people will come to the side of President Trump, just as they're doing in states that were once strongholds for the Democrats the last several elections. Minnesota, Wisconsin, they're now swinging to the right. They're swinging towards, let's make America great again, not let's communalize America again. This is some radical shit going down. That is what this impeachment is about. And if the Republicans are smart during the impeachment, they will not talk about President Trump when they get their 5 minutes to speak. The chair recognizes the Republican from South Carolina, and he's got 5 minutes. He's not going to talk about Trump. He should talk about Joe Biden and what Joe Biden has done and make this about Joe Biden. Because there's nothing Republicans are going to say during an impeachment process that is going to convince the Democrats they're wrong and that they shouldn't be doing it. Those Republicans speaking at the impeachment will be speaking to conservatives and those who are transplanting over to the conservative or Republican side or the presidential side. So yeah, the attack is on you, on me, on conservatism, on the Constitution, on the Tea Party, on the whites, on freedom, on all of that. This is what the impeachment is about. But they're not going to impeach me and you that way. They're going to try and impeach President Trump. And if they're successful, then they will use that as an indictment against all of us. Constitutional, libertarian, freedom-loving, red-blooded, patriotic, real Americans. That's right, we're real Americans. On the left, they're not real Americans. They see the Constitution as a piece of paper that they can wipe their butts with, or they can burn. And it's a piece of history they don't care about. That's what they think. We hold it as a sacred document. The Constitution, embedded in it are the rights and beliefs that they talked about very cleanly and clearly and openly back then. Also over here is the Declaration of Independence. Trust me, that document is still organic and alive because those thoughts that created it are still organic and alive in our hearts and our minds. As a result, we're going to have shit hitting the fan on that social level because of the political nature of what's happening in D.C. right now. I really hope that this video has explained the impeachment process, explained the political machinations and motivations, and then I hope that I, through my understanding of what's going on, have explained to us preppers, put forth some ideas to help us understand where this is going and why we need to be prepared with food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, and especially a means of self-defense and a plan to deal with what's coming. And trust me, as we go through this process, I will be here discussing it. Because it is fluid, it is dynamic, and it will change. And believe me, whatever wind, or whatever direction the wind blows from, the Democrats will try steering their ship to the left and staying on target with Trump is evil and so are you, America. And you should feel guilty and you should submit to socialism, no matter how radical it is, because you should feel guilty for who you are as an American. Anyways, that's what we got. This is where we're going. Thank you for supporting the Prepared Mind Network, everything that I do. You guys have a great day. Keep your eyes open. It's gonna get crazy. Holy cow. At the very least, from an entertainment aspect, this'll you can get souped up. Buy a case of beer and one of those industrial sized bags of popcorn, and just sit back and watch the stupid happen. Chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. God bless, Godspeed, everyone. Seriously. Now is a time for faith and belief in who you are and what our country was, is, and should be. Semper Fi.